All right, guys. Here's our guy, Dave Rubin, or as he's lovingly called, Rave Dubin. He hit us with a banger here. I decided I was going to watch a video of his, which was on Kanye, because, look, Dave is deep in that right-wing political world, and Kanye is adjacent to that, if not very clearly part of it. Kanye loves Trump. He surrounded himself with Milo and Nick Fuentes, who was just on Tim Pool's show, he was just on Alex Jones' show, so they're really kind of adjacent now in a sense. I mean, of course, Kanye's an A-list celebrity, whatever, but now Kanye's snuggling up to this right-wing political world. And Dave Rubin is Jewish, and he's always taken a strong line against anti-Semitism, so much so to the point that he does fake accusations of anti-Semitism against people like Ilhan Omar, who said it's all about the Benjamins when talking about AIPAC, the Israel lobbying group, wasn't anti-Semitic at all. She's saying, hey, when lobbyist groups give money to politicians, politicians will do their bidding. That's what she was saying. It's factual when you're talking about Israel. It's factual when you're talking about Saudi Arabia. It's factual when you're talking about the military-industrial complex. She got called anti-Semitic and everything under the sun. Dave Rubin was part of that. Dave Rubin very famously debated the other members of the Young Turks. This is back when he was with the Young Turks. This was back when Jimmy Dore was with the Young Turks. And they had a really good debate. It was at a time when Israel was bombing innocent civilians in the Palestinian territories, including hospitals, including schools, and they had a debate. And Dave was basically taking the position like, hey man, you got to do what you got to do. Even when they're bombing civilians, I declare that they're protecting themselves. And everybody else on the TYT panel was like, what the fuck are you saying? And they debated it. So go watch that, by the way. Dave Rubin, Jimmy Dore, type in Dave Rubin, TYT, Israel, something like that. And it's all the TYT crew arguing, and Dave Rubin looks like a psycho. Because he is. Anyway, so you would think this would give him a moment of like, ooh, maybe I'm like sort of snuggling up to or adjacent to people who have some pretty fucking shitty beliefs. In the same way that Dave came out, remember this? He came out and announced, me and my husband are going to have a kid, or 2 kids, and they're having it through a surrogate. And he announced this on the show, and a very large percentage of his own audience and the political commentators in his sphere turned on him and said this is immoral, this is unethical, this is ungodly. A child needs a mother and a father. You're doing that which is against God's will. You're destroying the nuclear family. This is unacceptable. And he never really honestly engaged with the fact that the audience he's cultivated and the commentators around him and the friends that he's cultivated don't agree with him, don't like him the way he is, think there's something wrong with him, right? They're anti-gay. In fact, after that, he very famously still said that it was the left that were the most bigoted when this news came out. And that's not true at all. Every lefty was like, hey man, this is fucked up what these people are saying. Like, please don't continue to lay in bed with them because, they're wrong and this is bad and we feel bad for you. And he flipped that as if like, the left was coming after him for his family when it was clearly the right who was doing it. Anyway, so I clipped this out of, I couldn't believe he said this when he was talking about Kanye and his downfall. Listen to this.
So Kanye is off, I would say, in a very dangerous place. And everything that Kanye is doing is leftist. It is based on all of the bad ideas, grouping people based off of race and religion and or sexuality. These are the bad ideas. So Kanye is off, I would.
He's engaging with the bad ideas. These are no longer the good ideas. I need to turn the dial of ideas up to hot. Turn the dial of ideas up to 11. So he thinks, any kind of identity-based politics is by definition left-wing? That's absolutely not true. Are you unaware that, say, Donald Trump, for example, he did white grievance politics? When this guy went around attacking every non-white group, right? Don't make me go down the list. Okay, fine, I'll go down the list. The Mexicans, the illegals, they're coming in here, they're criminals, they're rapists. I assume some are good people. We need a total and complete shutdown of Muslims into the U.S. until we can figure out what the heck is going on. Right? He appealed to the forgotten man and woman will never be forgotten again. He meant, like, white working class. Now, of course, he didn't serve any segment of the working class, never mind the white working class. He screwed the working class every imaginable way. But he was appealing to the white majority in the country. He was doing white identity politics. Dave Rubin has no way to think of these things other than anybody who does any form of group politics is a lefty. Like, this strain of thought is anybody who ever says anything bad is a leftist. Any bad idea is a left idea. I will just categorize everything I don't like as my opponent. It is the dumbest, most dishonest thing you could ever do, right? So here's an analogy. I'll show you what it would look like if we did this. This is like if somebody says, Stalin is a right winger. And this is something, look, I'll cop to it. I used to believe that, right? I used to say, like, yeah, Stalin's a right winger. I didn't have a way of conceptualizing people who do shitty things. I couldn't admit that, like, oh, they could ideologically roughly be on your side and be fucked up. I would just call everything that was bad part of the other side, right? But that's not true. So in the case of Stalin, you have to think of politics in a more nuanced way. It's not just a spectrum and there's left and there's right and there's the middle and that's it. No. The quadrant system is a lot better. So you have left, right, and then you have libertarian and authoritarian. So people can be, and this is one way of conceptualizing politics. There's other ways too that are probably even more accurate, that are more complex. But just bear with me here for a second. So you could have authoritarian left, authoritarian right, libertarian left. So to give examples of people who would fall on the spectrum, authoritarian right is Hitler. It's Mussolini. It's people who believe in social controls along with economic conservatism. So it's economically right and it's socially right. Libertarian right is like Ron Paul, Ayn Rand, where it's like socially very liberal, but economically right. Libertarian left is like social democracy, Bernie Sanders, libertarian socialists. These are people who believe in left economics, but also left/liberal beliefs on social issues, non-authoritarian beliefs on social issues. And then the authoritarian left is basically the statist communist types who might be economically left, but they're also socially authoritarian. So in other words, you could have somebody who's nominally on the left, but they're authoritarian on social issues. So for example, you could have like a leftist economic system with anti-gay policies attached to it because you want to control people's private lives and you think that's degeneracy or whatever. There was some of that went on in Cuba, right, under Fidel Castro. You could have authoritarian controls on the media, no free speech, no free expression, under a system that's still nominally on the left economically, where you could have like collective ownership of goods, but at the same time, the media can't report critical things on the people in power. Effectively, Stalin falls in the authoritarian left portion of the political spectrum. And so I'm able to admit there are people who are quote-unquote on my side, because I fall on the left, that like can be monstrous, can be wrong, can do fucked up things, right? He hasn't like grappled with the fact that there can be people on the right who fucking suck and who are terrible and who are wrong. Hitler was on the right. Mussolini was on the right. Kanye West is clearly on the right. I mean, he said every fascist thing under the sun. He's praising the Nazis endlessly. And he's also openly talking about theocracy. Well, he doesn't know the word theocracy, but he's talking about bringing, Jesus and religion at the forefront of government, bringing the Bible to the forefront of government. There is no part of that that is left-wing. There's nothing remotely left-wing about fucking any of that. And he just can't be honest and say, this stuff is on the right. You could say, it's on the right, but I don't agree with it, because I, Dave Rubin, am libertarian right, and, this guy's authoritarian right. He could say that, but he doesn't have the ability to just acknowledge basic facts if it makes his team look bad and if it makes him look bad. It's such bullshit, man. I mean, look, I can even admit when there are people supposedly on the libertarian left that make fucked up decisions and do fucked up things. I mean, remember, guys, like Black Lives Matter, the movement is something I support. And there was a list it was called, I think, Project Zero or Campaign Zero, where it had the list of the reforms that they want to implement in regards to policing, in regards to criminal justice. And I agree with all those things, and I support those things, and I support a movement behind it. But I could also acknowledge you could support some of the ideas behind Black Lives Matter while at the same time realizing that the leadership of Black Lives Matter, like the actual organization, was just outed as a complete and utter fraud. They were lying to people. They were shaking people down. They were scamming people. They were taking their money and then buying houses. They also snuggled up to corporate Democratic politicians and started working with them. So, like, I can acknowledge there are scammers and con men and charlatans everywhere on the political spectrum. There are bad ideas that can pop up anywhere on the political spectrum. But he doesn't have that ability. He doesn't have the ability to be honest enough and nuanced enough to admit, like, yeah, Kanye West is clearly on the right, and he's also a fucking psycho. Soaked on Left says, fascists in disarray. And you can see here, this is on, 4chan, 8chan, just one of these right-wing sites that a lot of young right-wingers are pervasive on. And I know I'm a boomer for not knowing what site this is, but it doesn't really matter. Anyway, you can see here, starting to rethink everything, bros. The most prominent person on earth who shares my beliefs is a totally unhinged maniac. His inner circle is a gay pedo and an autistic Mexican. Really starting to think I'm on the losing side here, if I'm honest. So this is like a right-wing troll shitposter who's either flirting with Nazism or is outright a Nazi, certainly embedded in far-right politics. And they're saying the way Kanye is acting, the stuff he's saying, you know, everything about him is kind of turning them off to that ideology, to this mindset. He thinks, like, I'm starting to rethink things here, because do I want to be on this side? Does this, you know, does this make sense? Is this an intelligent worldview? Is this coherent? Is this logical? And, like, I know this is, like, damning with faint praise, but credit to this person for being honest enough to realize, like, fuck, maybe I'm wrong. Like, maybe I've gone down the wrong path, and I'm believing shitty things, and I'm not the good guy I thought I was. Because at least it's honesty, right? It's like, it's a little bit of self-reflection. I think that's what I'm trying to get at. It's a little bit of self-reflection. And Dave doesn't have that. He doesn't have that fucking ability. There's no ability whatsoever for him to say, okay, this is an L for quote-unquote my side. For, you know, the right-wing commentator sphere. Because look, and this is a conversation Crystal and I have been having for a while now. There's this weird thing that happens, and it happens online, but I think it might just be a phenomenon that just exists anywhere, but it's very clearly there online, where, so, you have this, like, shock jock approach to doing politics, and somebody will say the shocking thing, do the shocking thing, take the crazy position, they get a lot of attention, they get a lot of eyeballs, a lot of clicks, make a lot of money doing it, gain a following doing it, but then what happens is, you're off to the races, and it becomes a competition. And there's always going to be somebody to come along to go one step further. And so, like, Donald Trump is a great example of this. He said a million shocking things, did a million shocking things. He became president of the United States. And then now you have all of these imitators out there that aren't just imitating him. They're like, I'm going to be him, but be a more crystallized, pure version of him. I'm going to take it one step further. I'm not going to do the plausible deniability and the dog whistling. I'm just going to fucking say it. And so, out of that spawns the Kanye Wests and the Nick Fuenteses. You know, the people who went that one step further and just argue for white nationalism. And Nick Fuentes saying the other day, like, I think we need a dictatorship. I don't believe in democracy. I believe in a Catholic theocracy. And so you have this perverse game where it's like people try to one-up each other and out-shock jock each other and become the more pure version. And this is what we're witnessing. But Dave Rubin cannot, in an honest way, look at that and say, fuck. Look at what this right-wing troll shock jock version of politics has led to. Look at what Trump has helped spawn. It's led to these clowns. And instead of saying, wow, this is something that maybe we on the right should grapple with, and maybe I should reevaluate some stuff, he just goes to, no, it's just, that's lefty stuff. Kanye West is a lefty. There's literally not a single lefty left on earth who supports Kanye West, who agrees with Kanye West, his outright Hitler praising. I mean, look, I don't want... Fine, I'll do it. You guys gonna make me do it? I'll do it. Dave Rubin thinks this stuff that you're about to see here is lefty.
I've done a lot of study. I think Hitler was a really bad guy, and I repudiate what Hitler did. I understand that the British intelligence set him up and used him.
I like Hitler.
I don't like Hitler. And I know you're trying to be shocking.
Very, very leftist position. I hear that all the time. The people at the DSA say it all the fucking time. People in, on the secular talk Discord say it all the time. We all love Hitler. On the left, we are all huge Hitler stans.
That.
I'm not trying to be shocking. I like Hitler. I do not. The Holocaust is not what happened. Let's look at the facts of that. And Hitler has a lot of redeeming qualities. This is the voice of Netanyahu.
Well, CNN says white people are evil Nazis. So, I mean, I disagree with both statements, but I get the pros.
I don't like the word evil next to Nazis. I think we need to look at.
And the Nazis, in my view, were thugs that shook people down, did a lot of really bad things.
But they did good things, too. We're going to stop dissing the Nazis all the time.
Okay.
If you close your eyes and listen to Kanye, he sounds a lot like Bernie, right? He sounds a lot like Bernie Sanders. This is stuff Bernie says all the time.
No, I ain't never had a supermodel. Yeah, could tell. The Jewish media has made us feel like the Nazis and Hitler have never offered anything of value to the world.
Okay, well, why would the Zionists be killing Jews in mass in Israel with the poison shot?
Because they work for Satan. They don't work for God.
Exactly. And you've got a little bit of the Hitler fetish going on.
It's not a fetish. It's not a fetish. That's a term like I just love information.
Can we just kind of say like you like the uniforms, but that's about it?
There's a lot of things that I love about Hitler. A lot of things. Hey, Netten, what did you think about that, Netten? This is insane. You are an insane person.
But that's a good T-shirt. I love Hitler.
That's a bar.
I'm joking.
Germans had a really cool leader at one time.
Oh my God. Look.
And he didn't kill 6 million Jews. That's just like factually incorrect. But for the ADL, I want to say there's a lot of good Nazis that were just fighting for their country. And for them all...
Like George Soros.
For them all to get put in a box. They're all in a box. Every Nazi's bad. Well, could some of the Nazis have just been fighting for their country? We can't put them all in a box.
Benjamin Netanyahu played Kanye West today.
Hey, Nathan, what you at? Hey, yay.
I'm tired of hearing I'm a Nazi. I'm really...
There you go. And just to remind you, Dave Rubin says the following.
I'd say in a very dangerous place. And everything that Kanye is doing is leftist. It is based on all of the bad ideas, grouping people based off of race and religion and or sexuality. These are the bad ideas. So Kanye is...
Look, I'll say this in a very clear way. The most liberal position, the most pure lefty take on these issues is that race, gender, any sort of immutable characteristic is 100% irrelevant. Everybody should be treated equal. Everybody should be treated based on, like the Democratic Socialist MLK said, on the content of their character. Everybody should be judged not based on the color of their skin, but on the content of their character. And that goes for all the different immutable characteristics. They're totally irrelevant. That is the leftist take. That is my leftist take. That is Democratic Socialist MLK's leftist take. That is our approach. None of that is lefty. But he just can't acknowledge that somebody who is nominally on his side, on his team, right, or at least just shares the same general area on the political spectrum, that this guy's wrong, and this guy's bad, and it is something that perhaps they need to clean house on the right. Look, final point. Look, when Kanye stormed off Tim Pool's show, I read the comments, and like 70 to 80% of the comments were pro-Kanye and anti-Tim Pool. Basically saying Tim Pool's a cuck for not agreeing on the Jewish question. These are right-wingers who are mask off now, ironically, because Kanye's got his mask on. But they're right-wingers who are mask off now. And Dave Rubin, as a right-wing commentator, you should want to clean house in the sense that you lean into debunking those arguments and calling it out. But he doesn't want to do it. He'd rather just swat it aside by saying he's a lefty. These are leftist ideas. It's super pathetic. If you want to see me and Crystal Ball interview legends like Noam Chomsky, Cornel West, and more, subscribe to Crystal, Kyle, and Friends on Substack. $5 a month gets you the video version a day early. Remember, we take 0 ad dollars for this podcast. Or you can sign up on Substack for free and get the audio version a day later. Link in the video description box below.